to Chapter 2, Retail Beef Products and Consumers. In this chapter, we will be discussing how consumers ultimately drive the profitability of the beef industry, how beef is marketed, the different types of retail cuts, and the factors influencing consumer preferences. We will also explore packaging, safety, and byproducts for beef cattle. Profitability is not set by ranchers, feedlots, or even processors. It is determined by consumers. Every purchase decision at a grocery store, fast food outlet, or restaurant contributes to the success or failure of the beef industry. If beef loses market share, the entire industry downsizes. Consumer choice is the most powerful force in shaping our beef markets. Beef is divided into retail cuts that are grouped into three broad categories. Those categories are middle meats, round and chuck, or end meats. Middle meats are from the rib or loin area and are about 25% of the carcass weight. Round and chuck make up about 50% of the carcass. This is often used for roast, ground beef, or stews. Our end meats, which is generally around 20%, is generally also less tender and is often used for more processed items. These percentages matter because profitability depends on balancing high-value cuts with volume cuts. This figure comes from our textbook, and it shows that approximately a 1,200-pound steer is used for the following products. We'll see that there is retail beef, pharmaceuticals, and edible byproducts, and variety meats. This picture also comes from your textbook, and it shows where different cuts of meat can be found on a live critter. This table shows the different major retail cuts and where they originated from for the primary wholesale beef cut. So the wholesale cuts that you're going to see would be chuck, rib, loin or sirloin, round, brisket, plate, or flank. And then as you can see on the right side, these are all of the different retail cuts that you could purchase, and then the price would be based off of the type of cut that is made. The consumption of beef depends on many factors that include, first, availability and cost, next, cultural preferences, next, disposable income for food purchases, next, technological advances in food processing, and finally, the public perception of nutrition, health, and food safety. For example, in the 1970s, poultry consumption rose sharply due to the perception that poultry had a lower fat content, was more affordable, and was easier to prepare. This could be considered true today with the rising cost of beef or hamburger. This table from your textbook looks at a per capita meat and poultry consumption, or the retail weight. For many years, Americans considered beef to be the king of meats by choosing beef in higher amounts over all other meats. However, in the mid-1970s, poultry began to capture additional market shares by focusing on price competitiveness, convenience, and the versatility. While beef consumption on the retail weight basis did peak in the 1976 era, followed by a prolonged period of a decline until about the mid-1990s, beef demand stabilized and began to increase again in the late 1990s. Beef's share on a tonnage basis then remained in the 65 to 68 pound range until approximately 2008, at which time retail weight consumption declined below 62 pounds as a result of a shrinking beef supply. Since 1990, per capita poultry consumption has been higher than per capita beef consumption on a retail weight basis, but the difference narrowly signifies when compared to a boneless weight basis. The effect of price cannot be overlooked in the consumption trend. This figure shows the U.S. consumer utilization of various beef cuts. This figure shows the annual per capita consumption of the various types of beef products. Ground beef sales contribute to approximately 40% of the current beef consumption. Ground beef sales have increased over time at retail due to the price competitiveness as compared to a whole muscle cut, the ease of preparation, and the versatility as an ingredient recipe. Our beef market is currently divided into three categories: at-home preparation, food service, and the export market. At-home food preparation is going to be the purchases of meat at a retail store for cooking at home. Food service could be anything from a restaurant, cafeteria, to a fast food outlet. An export market is going to be beef that is sold internationally to other countries. Each category requires different marketing strategies and plays a vital role in the total beef demand. Presentation is very important. Traditionally, beef was sold in butcher shops or grocery market counters as cut, weighed, wrapped, or priced items. However, this method has limitations. There is a shorter shelf life in the refrigeration, there is a greater risk of spoilage, and there is more labor that is required in the store. This system is still in use, but it has been replaced by newer packaging strategies. Generally, in this type of preparation, meat can only be prepared for about 5 to 7 days, and then it would only be able to be frozen for up to 2 months in this type of packaging. Failures that come are packages that are not sealed appropriately, or leakage that is causing contamination to other foods, cutting surface, or a storage area. Today, case-ready packages accounts for approximately 30% of our retail beef and about 70% of our ground beef. This is where it is packaged at the plant, often in a styrofoam tray. Some will include a marinade or a seasoned option for convenience. The shelf life is longer than a conventional cut. However, these products are not well suited for freezing as they are prone to freezer burn. Case-ready beef is popular in both retailers and consumers for its convenience. Consumer preferences really drive our meat industry. Consumers look for 4 main qualities in their beef. They're looking for taste, convenience, consistency, and health. With the taste, they're looking for tenderness and flavor because this is crucial. Convenience, they are looking for something that is easy to cook or prepare. Consistency, they want to make sure that they have reliable quality each and every time. And health, they are looking for lean cuts that are going to contribute to a more positive diet. Consumers' expectations strongly shape our production and our marketing strategies. Tenderness is a key quality, and its traits are going to depend on a multitude of things. So first, we are looking at the connective tissue. We are also looking at the link and degradation, and we're also looking for marbling. If we have more connective tissue, this is going to equal a tougher meat, which is then going to be less palatable to our consumers. For our marbling, we are looking at having more of a fat content because it is going to add tenderness and juiciness. Producers and packers must understand these factors to meet their consumer demands. Flavor is also crucial. The primary determinants of this are going to be marbling fat content, grass-fed versus a forage-fed diet, or a grain-fed versus a forage-fed diet. Grain beef typically is fed for approximately 100 days, which is going to be considered for more flavor. The marbling will increase, the flavor will also increase, which makes it more desirable to a consumer. This figure comes from your textbook, and it looks at the product development process. This figure comes from your textbook. Nutrient-dense foods are defined as those that offer a higher proportion of several of the recommended nutrients, more than it does for the calories. So beef is going to be a good source of zinc, iron, protein, and vitamin Bs. Many Americans are deficient in iron, approximately 40%, and about 73% of Americans are deficient in zinc. Consumers are often skeptical of food trends. Warning signs of questionable claims include the following: quick fix promises, labeling foods that are listed as strictly good or bad, a simplistic conclusion for complex studies, recommendations that are not peer-reviewed, ignoring the differences between individuals or groups, and overstating negative consequences of specific foods. By recognizing these, we are able to help consumers with making more informed choices. This figure comes from your textbook. The fatty acid profile of lean beef. We need to make sure that it is realistic. We should only make small changes in someone's eating or exercise habits. People may be adventurous to expand their taste or to enjoy varieties of different foods. They should be flexible, have a balanced food consumption, and an energy or an exercise regimen for several days instead of focusing on one meal or one day. They must be sensible, and they need to ensure that they are exercising to maintain an appropriate weight. Food safety is critical for consumers' confidence. Hazards include microbial contamination, naturally occurring toxins, environmental contaminants like heavy metals, pesticide residues, or food additives. Sanitation and temperature control are key in preventing bacterial growth and protecting our consumers. Injection technology has impacted consumers' perceptions in the beef market. These include growth hormone implants, which could be used to improve efficiency but spark controversy, antibiotic use because there is concern over antibiotic resistance in a human after eating meat that had antibiotics previously given. The lean, finely textured beef, so sometimes this is referred to as a pink slime. The public is concerned about these practices, and it will influence their demand and the marketing of a product. Beef cattle also provide many byproducts, including leather for shoes, belts and upholstery, hair for insulation, rugs and brushes, gelatin for hide for foods, film or glue, and artificial skin for burn patients that is derived from cowhide. These byproducts add economic value and expand the importance of the beef industry.